Hello, everyone. This is the Abundance Oracle. I'd like to talk to you if you're younger or you're just starting out in your work career. And most people want to get a good job in life. I suggest that that's just the first step in becoming wealthy. The new job is as important as how much money you can save. And instead of putting it into a bank, think about putting it into an investment that grows. So I know some of these banks give you, maybe my kids had 4% interest on their accounts. And I said, oh my gosh, are you crazy? We just put them in a little bit of hard assets. And I know this year we made over 100%. So if you're not skilled at investments yet, you're going to have to learn. You really do not want to let anyone else taking care of your investments. I worked at the second largest or the second most prestigious investment banking firm. And when I would go in, and many times, I was one of the only women in the position. This was way back when, because I'm an old lady now. The things that I would hear would not be good. The strategy is how to sell to you, not necessarily teaching good investment knowledge and strategies. One of the things I'd like to point out, that a lot of people that are billionaires, multimillionaires, tens of millions, now have started out by investing in real estate. And a lot of these investment banking firms will offer you stocks and bonds and anything that you can run through their company, or a real estate investment trust, which does not allow you to control the property, and the management company gets a fee that does control the property. Plus, there's also a fee for your broker. So if some of those investments were under your control and over time you learned how to operate and manage them, you might be much better off. So how I started out was, I had a job at an investment banking firm in sales, and this is how I figured out the strategy for me. On the weekdays, I worked 40 to 60 hours. And on the weekends, I worked for myself. What does that mean? Well, it means I started to learn about real estate. And I would buy one house at a time. I was young. And I would have to ask friends, can you help me figure out how, especially the guys that came from construction families. Oh my gosh, they are so valuable. They knew exactly, okay, do this, do that. You're going to overpay. Don't do that. It was very helpful to learn who's who and who has what knowledge. The realtors, some of the realtors, I would say, were totally useless. They collected a 5% fee. And now that you can run MLS on your own, and also there's places you can ask around town, who do you know that's looking to sell that wouldn't mind eliminating a realtor fee. So it took a long time, but eventually I had 50 little houses that were all rented out. I took and I sold those 50 houses. They were all I would say on the East Coast, and I rolled that money over into triple net, which means you don't have to do any work on the place, commercial properties. And then it took me a long time, and those eventually are getting paid off, and it produces enough income for my retirement, because I didn't want to count on corporate retirement pension or profit plans. I was always taught by my crazy Nana, you take care of yourself. You don't count on other people to take care of you. She was born in 1902 and lived through those roaring 20 years and got hit by the Depression. And she was in her late 20s when the Depression rolled around, and she lost a lot, and she figured out how to survive and cut back on a lot of expenses and be able to, I don't want to say prosper, but she did okay. And by the time the decade it took to get through the Great Depression, she had a good conservative base, not overspending, and she kept doing that when she started to make a lot of money. You need to think outside of just taking one job, taking two jobs, taking three jobs. You need to find out, how do you stop spending money? A package of seeds, that's maybe $1. I don't know how much it is now. You can grow some food in your front yard, in your backyard. You can grow it in pots. You can grow it in, you can grow potatoes in cardboard cartons. You start to think about, how do I not spend any money? Because every time you don't spend a dime, a quarter, $10, $20, instead of going out to lunch or out to dinner, it's money that goes into your I'm going to be wealthy pot. And that will allow you to start investing in things, even if it's just $50, or I guess we're up to like $77, $80 now for a silver coin. You want to start investing in things that will protect you against inflation and earn you some money over the long haul. There aren't a heck of a lot of things unless you know how to come up with a brand new invention, or you have context how to grow a business. I didn't know how to grow a business. In my family, my father was an engineer, and then at some point in time, he got older, he was laid off, and he became a realtor. My mother was a realtor. My grandmother was a realtor. Aunt Ginny was a realtor. Did I say my grandmother? Practically everybody in my family has a realtor license. That's how I know, and I've heard for years and years, because a lot of realtors are moms that think they know a lot of people, but have taken like a basic real estate course to get their license, but haven't educated themselves on economics and on construction and things that are really important for people's largest first major purchase, which is usually their home. I would also like to suggest that you find your first home in a set up in a way that you can rent out part of it if you ever get fired or you lose your job. I'm 66, technically retired quite a bit ago, but the place I own is a miracle. It has a small little guest cottage that gets rented out. The main little house has a little apartment underneath that used to help with, if you had a nanny or something to help you out, or a landscaper or something could live there. And there's different ways to get into the house, so you can rent a room. So don't look to spend your first money on a house that you're just going to live in, that you're not going to make money on. You need to start to frame in your brain, everything that you own needs to make you money. Just like everything you spend needs to be only a little bit. And in not too many years, you'll be a millionaire. I would like to mention there's a woman, Laurel Langemeier, who does a class and teaches people how to make their first million. You can check that out. I would highly recommend Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very good reading. And if you just look into it, there's a lot of business books that are really useful. And things aren't always as they seem to be. So start looking at with a critical eye at things, not just necessarily what you're told from media. Learn, especially if you're younger. Start to read and learn so you can develop some of your own ideas, your own thoughts, what's valuable. And when you get to be older and you've made some good money, don't forget those people that helped you out along the way, that taught you. I had such an incredible mentor that's been so wonderful to me, and I definitely wouldn't have gotten as far without him taking me under his wing and sort of teaching me some stuff about the economy and building businesses and things like that. There's wonderful people out there. You just need to start asking the right questions of people, and you'll find out who's who very quickly. Love you all. Good luck in 2026. Some of you will be able to make your first million in 2026, and it's very exciting. Please come back and see me. I love to do financial ideas, but I also love beaches, water, and family. I'm conservative, as you can probably guess. Love you all. Bye-bye.